Good morning, everyone. This is Deborah. I am going to be sharing a story that's going to take a few parts. When these things happened, they were supernatural. God was really speaking to me, and I want to share what happened because He had told me back then that I was supposed to be writing, and I didn't do it. And I don't really know why I didn't do it, because it was so supernatural and so profound that I should have been writing. So I just want to give you a little background. I am a commercial union electrician by trade. I was the second female that our area hired, and I got a lot of experience. I worked commercial work, hard work, and that's how I got into the trades. And once I got out of my apprenticeship, I went into business, and I bought some land and began building houses on it. So that's how I came to know this man named Barney. And Barney was also a union electrician, and he had been working with my husband on a job, and that job ended. So Barney called me one day and asked me if my husband was home, and he wanted to know if my husband would ride with him to another job that was available, but not in our local. So I told him my husband had gone back to his home. We do not live in the same state. I won't move to his state because the Lord showed me the tsunamis that will be there, and the Lord instructed me to stay where I am. So that's what I did. And I told Barney that I would pray about it and that I would maybe go with him to this job. So I got off the phone with him, and I asked the Lord if it was okay for me to take this job with Barney, because we would be traveling an hour each morning and each night to go home. And I called him back. I got the okay. The Lord said that I would take the job. So I called Barney up and told him that I would go ahead with him to take this job. So the next morning he came and we met, halfway, and we drove down to the job, to the union hall, to sign up to wait on the list for an available spot. So we were driving and, just chatting. And let's see how this worked out. I had told the Lord that if this was from Him, that He would confirm it to me in a physical way. Oh, I know, because he had told me, God had told me that He wanted me to talk to Barney for him. And so I said to him, if this is you need Barney to mention you, because I don't want to, I want to know for sure that this is you that wants me to take this job working with Barney, because our father had told me at the time I was not working, that he he didn't want me to work at the time because there were things that he wanted to teach me. So we drove down to the Union Hall. It was an hour drive. We signed the book. The business agent told us that they didn't have any available work at the time because and he had his own men out of work. So we were driving home, and I had, asked the Lord to show me that it was him that wanted me to take this job with Barney. So we're riding home, and Barney, out of the clear blue sky, says to me, "I think I need to find a new church." And I was shocked because I knew Barney and I didn't know that he was the type that would go to church. Not that he was a bad guy, but he did not seem to be a spiritual man. And I couldn't believe it. I was in shock. So I'm thinking, okay, well, this is the Lord's confirmation, so I guess we'll be working on this job, but it might not be for a while. So I get home, and I think it was the next day. It might have even been that day. My phone rings, and it's Barney, and he said, "They have a job for us, and we can start tomorrow." And again, I was in shock because the business agent clearly told us that they had men out of work and that we would be on the list for a while. So this had to be from the Father. And this was the beginning of a story that just blew my mind. And I think it'll probably blow yours, unless you are used to the supernatural, which I never really had any experience with the supernatural, to tell you the honest truth. So the next day, Barney and I met up and we went to work. So we started working together, and he was a good guy. There was no problems. And we are driving home one day. It was like maybe the second or third day, and he starts talking about church again. So, and then he starts telling me about his wife's power. I said, "What do you mean, your wife's power?" And he said, "Well, her and her father and her sisters can all tell people's futures." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "And they're always right. And, they're, I don't know what name I don't know if he called them psychics. I don't know what he called them. But that's what they all had a gift in. And they were telling people's fortunes, and they were coming true." So I'm saying to the Lord, "Okay, Lord, what did you get me into?" So I said to him, "Well, Barney," I said, "that is a gift from God that he gives some people. But he expects that people are supposed to do that for him, for his glory. That's fortune telling, and it's demonic." And he listened. He didn't argue with me or anything. So I began to speak to him about the truth of the Bible. And he listened. He listened intently, okay? Well, little did I know that he was going home and telling his wife everything that I was telling him. And she was really getting upset with me, I guess. So I'm going to end, well, it's almost 10 minutes, so I want to end this video because I don't like long videos. So I'm going to be doing this in parts, but you're going to be shocked. You are going to be shocked at what I reveal and what the Lord showed me, what he said to me, and I think that this will be beneficial. So I love you guys, and I'll see you in part 2. Shalom.